forward, and we have a good representation. To continue to work on those to make Oregon a national leader in innovative housing policies that will bring down the cost of housing. This bill is designed to expand housing in more communities, lowering the cost of construction, improving housing affordability. So more people will be able to buy homes or rent closer to work or want to raise their families. Broadly speaking, House Bill 2138 does three things. It legalizes more housing choices of what type of home you want to live in, or creating a pathway for thousands of more units across Oregon, like duplexes, triplexes, townhomes, and cottage clusters. Even though these types of homes tend to be more affordable, they are still illegal to build in many areas across the state. The bill also cuts unnecessary red tape, so it's easier to build more kinds of affordable homes. Developers still face too many requirements that slow or stop their projects. And lastly, it provides incentives for developers to build accessible homes and provide affordable home ownership options. Building accessible housing is often at the discretion of the given the challenges. So this bill is about choice, it's about affordability. When we can build more kinds of homes, people have more options. To a smaller community where they have built their lives will have more options. Young families who will be able to buy their home closer to the schools, stores, parks, and their jobs. And middle-income jobs, middle-income folks here in Oregon like our find homes that they can afford that fit into their lives. Lack of housing touches every part of our state. When Oregonians cannot afford to live where they work or simply cannot find housing options that align with their needs, employers lose out, they lose employees, they can't hire new employees, and entire communities suffer. Essential services can't be provided if the people who provide those services can't live in the communities. Generally, if we don't have more housing option and better affordability, our communities will not be able to thrive. I also want to emphasize that this isn't a Democratic or Republican issue. Housing is a bipartisan priority for the session. We need everyone at the table to tackle this issue. And so I'm pleased to have with me today some folks you can hear from directly, folks who understand this issue, who support this issue, support the bill, because they know how important it is for Oregon and our communities. So with that, Roxy on my team is going to introduce each of our speakers, and then if we have a little time at the end, we'll take some questions, preferably about the bill itself, because we have experts with us, and we'll take a little photo or two. So with that, Roxy, who's first on the list?
We've got Hillary Gray.
Hillary. Hey, thank you. Hi, thank you. My name is Hillary Gray, and I'm a 67-year-old retired registered nurse happily living in Portland, Oregon. Excuse me. I'm a huge believer in multi-generational co-housing. When I was ready to retire in 2021, my son and I had a conversation, and we visualized the life that I have now. I wanted to be a grandmother, but I had no grandchildren. I love being around people and love having a social life. And I also needed an affordable place to live near my son in Northeast Portland. We went searching and we found Cully Green, a wonderful multifamily housing community in Portland. Having our homes facing each other and shared spaces has made for a rich life. Daily there are opportunities to meet with children, adults, and seniors. I'm never bored or lonely, and every day there are children coming over, opportunities to visit as we all come and go through our shared spaces in our building. I enjoy spontaneous bike rides, movie nights, potluck dinners. My favorite thing is to have the kids overnight so the parents can get a date night and I can build a grandparenting relationship with the children. I take people to the airport, the doctors, and pick up kids after school. It's never a dull moment, and it's just the way I want it. We know loneliness is a major factor in both physical and mental health. My belief is multifamily housing stops loneliness by encouraging community interactions that would not happen if each person had a big house in a typical neighborhood. To build cottage clusters with duplexes, that's why it's rare. Governor Kotek's new bill and housing and make more experiences like the community.
Next up is Mary Kyle McCurdy from 1,000 Friends of Oregon.
The type of housing opportunities you just heard about from Hillary Gray should be easy to do in every community, in every neighborhood in Oregon. And that's why 1,000 Friends of Oregon and a statewide coalition of community organizations are advocating for many more ways to create home. And that's why we support House Bill 2138. 1,000 Friends is joined today by land use community partners from around the state, including Thrive Hood River, Central Land Watch, Better Housing Together in Eugene, and Portland Neighbors Welcome. House Bill 2138 helps everyone live closer to schools, stores, parks, and jobs by removing local barriers to building the types of homes that give people more diverse, accessible, and affordable home options in every neighborhood. This means more housing well located for first-time home builders, for first-time home buyers, multi-generational living, older adults who want to remain in their neighborhoods, and for those who work in our communities, like teachers, medical technicians, and store clerks. We're happy to support Governor Kotek in House Bill 2138. Thank you.
Next up is Mike Riddle, president of the Oregon Home Builders Association.
Good morning. I'm Mike Riddle. Soft, anyways. Cool. All right. Good morning. I'm Mike Riddle, the owner of Mike Riddle Construction, and we build homes in the Willamette Valley and the Central Oregon coast. I am the current board president of the Oregon Home Builders Association, and we represent 3,000 members engaged in residential construction industry and advocates for homeownership opportunities for all. On behalf of the association and its members, I would like to thank Governor Kotek for her continued efforts around tackling the housing production crisis in Oregon. Today, we stand at a crossroads in Oregon's housing crisis. We know the problem: skyrocketing home prices, families struggling to find affordable places to live, and a housing supply that simply cannot keep up with demand. The solution is clear. We need all types of housing, including middle housing, townhomes, duplexes, cottage clusters. These are not just options, they are necessities for a thriving, sustainable future. But here's the reality. Builders are ready. Communities are ready. Yet government red tape continues to strangle progress. Endless delays, outdated zoning laws, and excessive permitting requirements add years to projects that should take months. We cannot afford this inefficiency any longer. It's time for reform, like Governor Kotek is proposing. We must streamline approvals, cut the bureaucratic backlog, and empower builders to meet the demand for quality, affordable housing quickly and responsibly. This isn't about politics, it's about people. Oregon family workforce and future generations depend on bold action now. This is a step in the right direction, but the work is not done. We are committed to continuing to work together with the legislature and with Governor Kotek to break down barriers and build the future Oregon deserves. Again, thank you, Governor Kotek, for continuing to fight for Oregonians, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Jesse Russell, founder and CEO of Hiatus Homes.
Good morning. I want to start by thanking Governor Kotek for her bold leadership in tackling one of Oregon's most urgent challenges, which is housing. It takes real vision to cut through the bureaucracy and champion reform that will help families, workers, and entire communities to thrive. I'm Jesse Russell. I'm the owner of Hiatus Homes. When I moved back to Bend and started Hiatus Homes. I came home only to find that I was locked out of the housing market in the town that I grew up in. So as a solution, I was inspired by the tiny house movement. All I wanted to do was put 4 small houses on a residential lot, something that was simple and efficient and affordable, but zoning laws wouldn't allow it. That's what pushed me to learn everything that I could about land use law and building code and city politics. So in 2015, Ben took a major step forward by adopting a cottage code, allowing us to develop what we called Hiatus Benham, and that was the city's first cottage cluster community. That project proved what's possible when government, builders, developers work together to make smart policy changes. Now Governor Kotek's bill builds on Ben's success, expanding support for cottage clusters, ADUs, and small-scale developments across the state. By streamlining the building process, it will help create beautiful, livable spaces for working families, retirees, young professionals, faster and more efficiently. Thank you again, Governor Kotek, for your continued efforts to solve Oregon's housing crisis. Those of us who are building and developing homes are hopeful the legislature will come together, allowing us to provide housing solutions for all Oregonians. Thank you.
Next up is Brittany Quick-Warner, President and CEO of Eugene Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here, Governor Kotek. My name is Brittany Quick-Warner. I'm the President and CEO of the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce. We're also a founding partner of Better Housing Together in Eugene. The Chamber is committed to fostering a strong business climate like chambers are across this state, a thriving workforce, a community where people and businesses can succeed. And one of the biggest challenges standing in the way of that is success, and our housing crisis is holding us back. Simply put, if we want to grow jobs and our economy, we must ensure that workers have an affordable place to live in this state. That's why middle housing plays a critical role in supporting businesses and growth. Duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, cottage clusters create more affordable housing options for our workforce. Teachers, healthcare workers, service industry employees, daycare providers. As I found this summer, we relocated my parents from the Midwest to Oregon to take care of our little 16-month-old, and we experienced firsthand our own challenge trying to find affordable housing for a retired couple living in Oregon. Without accessible housing, employers struggle to attract and retain the talent that they need to grow. Businesses want to expand in this state, but they can't if they can't afford it, and if their employees have to live an hour away or worse, leave the area altogether. The passage of House Bill 2001 was a major step forward in addressing the challenge, and now House Bill 2138 builds on that progress. By further expanding middle housing options, we are helping to create a more stable and diverse housing market that supports people who power our economy. Our chamber strongly supports House Bill 2138 because we recognize how strong housing plays a role in our business success. If we want to see our local businesses thrive, we have to ensure that all workers can afford to live in this state. We commend Governor Kotek for her leadership on this issue, and we urge lawmakers to support 2138 and to make action quickly to remove barriers to ensure that housing is available for our businesses and our workers. Thanks.
All right, last up is Bandana Shrestha, State Director, AARP.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Bandana Shrestha with the AARP Oregon. I'm the State Director. AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, and we have 500,000 members here in Oregon. Our work is focused on improving quality of life for all as we age, and we advocate on issues that matter to 50-plus people here in Oregon. I'm honored today to show our strong support for House Bill 2138. The bill is crucial in addressing the housing crisis we have in our state and building a more livable and age-friendly state. Our state is experiencing a major demographic shift. We're one of the oldest states in the West, and we're aging faster than the rest of the country, which means that as our population ages, we need to be addressing issues that matter to them, including housing, and create options that help people age in place. AARP's research shows that people 50 plus across the country want to be able to live in their own community as they grow older. This desire is stronger for people 65 and over, and for people who are living in rural communities and in small towns. But many cannot find affordable homes that they can downsize to in their neighborhood of choice. And we know that people spend their lifetime building community in those places in their neighborhoods, and essentially people either have to leave or find other options, which is not what people want. And the other fact is that older adults are also one of the fastest growing segment of people who are houseless in our state. We need more affordable, accessible, and varied type of housing all across our state. We need to address the challenging and of housing and the changing demographics, what people prefer. And House Bill 2138 addresses these by expanding middle housing statewide, incentivizing affordable and accessible homes, and creating options suitable for our growing aging population. We were a proud supporter of the 2019 House Bill 2001 that was sponsored by then Speaker Kotek, and we stand with Governor Kotek now as she is bringing forth this House Bill 2001 of its kind in the country, and removed barriers to middle housing and rectified decades of restrictive housing policies. We still need that kind of bold action now, and we're really grateful that the governor is continuing to focus on this really important issue. So in closing, I just want to reiterate, ARP supports this bill, and we're looking forward to seeing a more inclusive and age-friendly state with policies like these. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. I mean, I appreciate the kudos, but we only get here because you're all doing the work with me, so I really appreciate that. This bill is about Oregon, about Oregonians like the folks who are here saying, we can do even better. It was a good reminder for those of you who've been around this issue for a while. In 2019, we started this conversation about making it easier in residentially zoned areas to build different types of housing. Build these townhomes, clusters, triplexes, quads, these different types of denser housing that people really want, and because they have smaller footprints and shared walls in some cases, they are less expensive to build, which keeps them more affordable. That was 6 years ago. What we heard in the last year was we can do better. There are still barriers, and while we have communities around the state who are taking full advantage of some options, we have a lot of communities who are not. And there are still lots in Oregon where it is illegal to build these types of housing choices. So we're coming in this session with a bill to continue to remove barriers, to continue to streamline things, to get more options in our communities. So I'm thrilled about the bill, I'm thrilled about the support, and we're gonna get it done. So with that, Roxy, you wanna see if anyone has any questions for us?
Yeah, a couple of ground rules. We're going to switch virtual in person like we usually do. We only have 10 minutes, so let's try to keep it to the issue at hand. Julia.
Thank you for the question. So in the current iteration, we will, I have supported a change to the bill as introduced to remove that section. Here's what that opposition is about. I don't want to get too technical, but it was going to make it easier to do some things in neighborhoods who are designated as historic neighborhoods. And these are well-established neighborhoods that have access to services and infrastructure. That created some opposition because it was too broad. What I have been told is the type of housing that we're going to see coming on quickly will probably not be in some of those historic districts. So from my standpoint, let's make sure we can move forward with the bill and continue to have the conversation about our historic districts. And because the rest of the bill is really going to get a lot more units built. But that has been the one piece of opposition that we have been hearing thus far. But it is coming out of the bill.
We have one question queued from Jonathan Bach at the Oregonian. He's asking which parts of the bill are specifically aimed at lowering costs, residential construction costs, and likewise, why did we only permit about 14,300 homes last year, and how do we build more this year?
That sounds like a home builder question.
I mean, I can answer some of
Yeah,
that.
please come on up and, yeah. how does this make it easier for you, and, yeah.
Yeah, when we do a development, it takes us almost a year before we even are able to start trying to do the lots. And then once we build the lots, that takes a few more months. So if we can reduce the time from 1 year to 6 months, just to get through what's really just pushing paperwork, that can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. The reason we've seen our permits come down is we've had interest rates climb. So in residential construction, which is what we do, it's been really difficult for buyers to leave an interest rate that was really low to go to a higher interest rate. So I think we've seen that kind of level off, and I think we'll see more permits this year. Thanks.
For K2 News. 2138 states local governments can require traffic impact analysis for middle housing if that development is considered residential infill or redevelopment. I understand this is meant to cut tape and also promote walkable communities too, but how can you ensure that this isn't going to bring more traffic to those communities?
So we have a housing crisis, and I think we have created systems. We are trying to achieve the perfect whenever we make plans for new construction in our state. The issue around traffic studies, in most cases, these are already neighborhoods that have traffic. I don't believe this will substantially increase traffic, but what it will do by removing that study is getting us quicker to permitting, get us quicker to construction. Time is money. I believe we will continue to have safe, livable neighborhoods that will not be overwhelmed by traffic. This is one simple thing we can do to get construction faster.
No other virtual questions, so yeah. Peter, will you wait until Lucas brings you that mic, and then go ahead?
Hi, Peter Wong. Is there a price tag attached to this bill from the state budget? And there are obviously factors like interest rates the state does not control, but which have hindered housing. How does this bill dovetail into that, and how do you propose to resolve some of these other issues?
I want to answer the question about the incentives. I don't have the numbers right at my fingertip, but I will get you to get those, because one of these is trying to make sure we can, builders can build all kinds of things. We want to make it both easier on the front end, but also give them some, financial incentives to say, I'm going to actually do that type. We have some incredible builders in the state who are really good at doing this. And the more we can share what they're doing and encourage other folks to do it, we'll get more of these types of units built. And then your other question was?
Any impact on the state budget?
I will get back to you on the number of that, but I think we have to put some dollars out there to incentivize. I don't think that it's in the bill. I'm looking at someone. It's not in the bill, but we have other incentives out there around getting infrastructure built, so the infrastructure loans. We have the loan program that is now up and running that we want to continue to grow because of the interest rates. Having some more dollars up front on the pre-construction side will also help us get more things built. As Jesse was saying, it's good that the inflation, the interest rates have kind of leveled off. It has been a barrier, and we can't affect that, but we can make other pots of money available to kind of offset some of that with the pre-construction loans and some of the infrastructure work that the cities are doing, because if you don't have to come in and put any infrastructure, that also helps a lot as well. But the good thing about middle housing is we will see brand new developments where middle housing will be incorporated. But these are places where there's already a lot of water and sewer, so it's just about getting it added in. But let me give you an example. I won't say who and I won't say where. But we have some cities who, when developers come in and builders come in and say, I want to do middle housing, they're like, well, your sewer line has to be this big or that big. It's like, why? We're not building, 50, 100 units of housing. We're building 4 in one residential lot. Why should there be a higher standard for, a bigger sewer pipe? These are the kind of things that do not make any sense, that are challenging us to get different types of choices into existing neighborhoods that do not overly impact the infrastructure that's there, but it does provide more choice. We can get it done quicker, and more affordable, which will make it easier for someone to buy it at a price point that they can afford.
Governor, what do you say to homeowners who are single-family residences and single-family residential neighborhoods who maybe have lived there for a long time, and you're saying, look, you're going to have to sort of move over and make room, but it's a message still to folks that say, hey, this is what I like, this is what I have a choice to make, that I should really maybe move somewhere else and out of Oregon if this is the way it's going to be?
Anybody else want to answer? So I'm going to take you back to 2019 when I passed House Bill 2001 as Speaker. This was, in some ways, a very new conversation. But I reminded people then, I will remind them now, we have many neighborhoods in established communities across the state who have this type of housing right now. We used to do this. And then we said, well, now we're only going to be single family, or we're going to build big multifamily apartments. We don't want anything else. We have to go back to where we were before, where we had different types of infill that worked for folks. I do remember in 19, we had a lot of pushback. I can remember one city in particular kept vetoing the idea of having an ADU in your neighborhood. We have moved from that conversation. I believe people now understand the crisis differently, they understand the options differently, and we have communities, Ben's a very good example. They're doing really creative things, and it has not destroyed what Bend is. In fact, it has enhanced Bend and has given people options to live in different places. So I do believe that conversation, while it was more prevalent when we first started this conversation 6 years ago, it is less so today. And now what people need is, how can we make this happen? And I want to make it easier for local communities not to make their own rules up. We'll just make it easier so they can get this stuff built quicker. I don't know if you want this.
No,
Nope.
well said.
Before I go second round, anybody else? All right, we'll go virtual and then we'll go to
Another question from Jonathan Bach. Why do you think some communities are embracing middle housing and others are not?
For our local governments, I'm going to give them some grace here because they are sometimes under-resourced. They sometimes don't have the technical expertise to do some of this. Some cities are better situated where they have staff who see the options, they see the flexibility, and they embrace it and they can do it. Again, I want to go to Bend. Bend had no choice. They were fastly growing, didn't have enough housing. I felt, and when you talk to the folks in Bend, they will move mountains to get things built. They have had to take that mindset. I think there are a lot of communities who want to get there, but are really constrained in terms of technical expertise, in terms of a lot of old ordinances on the books that really make it hard to change. So what this is doing is saying, let's help you change that faster. Let's help you, and through the Housing Accountability and Production Office, there is more technical assistance for our local governments as well to help them change what they're doing on the ground. But we've also heard from a lot of local governments who are saying, please help us. I will not be able to, they're like, we know we need to change, but it is very complicated for us to do it. If we had more guidance from the state, more clarity on clear and objective standards on the things we need to do, we could do it and do it faster. Please help us. So we don't have to have every town and city in the state having to repeat the wheel every time to get this done.
I think it really depends on the community. I think some communities are small, they might be more prone to like second homeowners in different like coastal communities. And some neighborhoods have quite a few infill lots that are just ripe for development. And I think some of it is market driven. I think, to be honest, most of it is pushing a ball uphill. You have so much work to go through for the same lot that you might go out into a residential development where it's just simple. I apply, I get my permit, I build the house, I move on. When you've got an infill, sometimes you've got special trees or you've got special requirements that make the lift very heavy. And it's not low-hanging fruit for a lot of builders and developers, especially just 1 or 2 or 3 units on one lot. I think there are some boutique people who are willing to take the time, but I think overall, that's not going to move the needle. A few people. We need many more people. We need to remove those barriers to make those development opportunities very swift and responsible.
Nobody else? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Take a photo?
Yeah. take a photo.
I feel like we need t-shirts.
I'm sure they could be made.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Oh, do you want to move this?
I don't know. Brian, will you help me? See if we can move this out of the way.
Well, because otherwise.
Come here. If we can't, then it's okay.